What Trump's win means for global supply chains and Europe's future. The best worst-case scenario. The tremors of Trump's win are already being felt in the global supply chain. The impact is imminent, and the business community finds itself on edge. Supply chain executives find themselves caught in the eye of a storm they've weathered before, a torrent of tariffs, trade wars, and turbulent logistics. But they have weathered it before. What can we most reasonably expect? We can expect that the second Trump administration will resemble the first. And, horror and wailing and the pandemic aside, the first iteration of Trump in power was by no means a disaster for Europe. Yes, Trump did insist that Europe shoulder more of the cost of NATO. Verbal sparks did fly between Trump and European leaders. However, the refrain used by Trump during his campaign, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" should give us pause. 4 years ago, there was no war in the Ukraine. North Korean troops were not on European soil. The Nord Stream pipelines had not been blown up. Israel and Gaza were not in the disastrous mess they are now. Prices across the board were dazzlingly lower. Yes, Trump pulled out of the Paris Accords, but incredibly, America's carbon emissions were lower by the time he departed office than the Accord specifications. I say this not to praise Trump, only to point out that there is often a confusion between Trump's rhetoric and his actions. To be sure, his rhetoric has its impacts too. Undoubtedly, right-leaning European parties from Orban to Farage to the AfD will be heartened and strengthened by Trump's example. But to the degree that Trump restricts himself to bluster, Europe's electoral future remains our own. When it comes to actions, a return to the former Trump era suggests a rapid resolution of the crisis in the Ukraine and at least partial lifting of sanctions, a slow rapprochement between the EU and Russia, and not least, a step back from possible nuclear war. No European or European business can see this as a bad thing.